Hello, grade 12th. So today we will be talking about a very known topic that you have been studying for so long, and it is very linked with the previous chapter, wherein we had discussed the conservation of biodiversity, which is a natural resource. So in this chapter, we are going to talk about some environmental issues that have a overall long time impact on the environment, and of course we all know about it is pollution. So we have been studying this ever since we were in the junior classes, but not much could be done about it. There is still pollution, although we are trying to stay away from it, and it is because of this kind of environmental issues that we are facing this kind of a pandemic, global pandemic that is happening today. So hopefully, after realizing this chapter, we will be able to amend our ways to bring about a better environment. So pollution, we know that any undesirable change in the quality of something is known as pollution. Undesirable change, if it is in the quality of air, it is air pollution. If the undesirable change is in the quality of water, it is water pollution. If the undesirable change is in the quality of the soil, then it is soil pollution. So on and so forth. So today we will be talking about the air pollution specifically. So firstly, we need to know there are what kind of wastes are generated and what causes pollution. Pollution is caused by certain agents, and those agents bring about this undesirable change in the environment, and this is known as pollutants. So the government of India had passed an act. So it was called the Environment Protection Act, which was passed in 1986 to improve the quality of the environment, be it air, be it water, be it soil. It is, of course, the bill has been passed, the act has been passed, but implementation, we are still far behind. So today we are going to start with air pollution. Of course, the undesirable change in the physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of air, of course, exerts harmful effects to all human beings. So, what are the causes of air pollution? We all know there are two causes. One is the man-made cause, and one is the natural cause. Natural cause would include your volcanic eruptions, your forest fires. So these are natural, and of course, it will stop after some time. Like Amazon was burning, I told you, it was stopped by the rain which fell down. But what is very important is the anthropogenic or the man made causes. Of course, you know the smoke from the automobiles that we drive, smokes from the thermal power plants. So, that is one anthropogenic cause of air pollution. Secondly, we throw out garbage, and the best way to do away with garbage is incineration or burning of the garbage. So, what we do is this release, of course, when we burn this garbage, it releases the smoke which goes to the air, and of course, the smoke causes a degradation in the quality of air. Also, excessive usage of fossil fuels, coal, petroleum. So we have been always talking about non-renewable sources of energy because it's evidently easy to get, and we think it is easy to get, but it is not. And it is easy to use also. That is the conventional source of energy that we have been using, that is fossil fuel energy. We should resort to renewable sources, but yet not. We have shifted to this. Also, leaded petrol brings about a better mileage to your cars, be your bikes, but then we will not switch or skip using leaded petrol. So what are the type of air pollutants? There are two types of pollutants. One is the particulate pollutants, and the other the gaseous pollutants. Particulate pollutants would mean those small metallic pieces, dust. Soot means the black colored thing that stays back after a smoke is gone. Smoke and the aerosol present in it. And gaseous pollutants would mean there are different gases like carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, So sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide. So this creates an impact on the human health, because right now we are so selfish that we are only concerned about us. So let's start how it affects us, because that's what we are concerned about and not the environment. So, firstly, carbon monoxide that is released by the incomplete combustion of fuels, that causes giddiness, headache, of course, cardiovascular malfunction, causes problems in the heart, asphyxia, we fall short of breath. Hydrogen sulfide, that is also a air pollutant, which actually causes nausea. Nausea means a tendency to vomit, eye and throat irritation. You must have seen in a very polluted place, you think something has fallen in your eyes or something has got stuck in your throat, and you do like this, or you flicker your eyes to take that thing out. That's nothing but the solid particulate matters that are present in the air that causes this kind of trouble. Next, we come to the sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is very instrumental in creating respiratory diseases like asthma, bronchitis. Bronchitis is when your bronchioles inflame, means becomes bigger. Of course, lung cancers, emphysema. Emphysema is shortness of breathing. Next, the fine particulate matter that is released by the industries, that causes a problem in breathing, and of course there are respiratory problems, and there's an inflammation of lungs as well, and damage is caused to the lungs. Then so we will do it. We are knowing all the reasons, knowing the impacts, yet we will do the air pollution. So in plants, basically, let's talk about plants, which we are least concerned about, although, but it's because of the plants that we are living, because the oxygen that is given by the plants, that is essential for us to sustain ourselves. So in plants, of course, these air pollutants create about lack in the yield and the growth, and causes premature death of plants, causes the early senescence. Senescence would mean your yellowing and falling down of leaves. So what are the control measures for this? For this, we have to refer to the notes now. Now we will be focusing on the control methods that are adopted to stop air pollution. The first thing that we should use is the electrostatic precipitator. Now, electrostatic precipitator is an electrical device which helps to remove the particulate matter. Particulate matter would mean the soot, the suspended particles that are there in the air before the exhaust from the thermal power plants is released into the air. So basically, I clean the air that is produced in the industries and then release that air in the environment. So let's see the diagram of this. So this is how an electrostatic precipitator works. So this is the electrostatic precipitator, and you can see the dry air that of course we are planning to clear or purify is passed on over here, and these are the dust particles. These dust particles are collected by certain coronas. Corona is a form of particles, a particulate matter that is discharged by these electrostatic precipitators, and they engulf these dust particles. So all the dust particles get engulfed in these corona, and then what happens is it becomes negatively charged. Once it becomes negatively charged, it goes in through this collection plate and falls down as dust, and the clean air is passed out of this. So about 99% of the particulate matter can be removed by electrostatic precipitators, and it is a electrode wire, as you can see, and has a stage collection plate, as you can see, of course. Electrode wires are provided with electric currents. Obviously, this corona is nothing but a particle that is released by the electricity. So the electric current is there of several volts is producing these corona, which corona and this corona is releasing electrons, which is actually engulfing and making the dust particles negatively charged. Once negatively charged is going to the collection plate within a small fraction of second, and they are getting attracted in the collecting plate, so dust particles are left behind and clean air is thrown out. The next part, of course, is the scrubber. Now you can see the diagram of the scrubber. So these scrubbers are basically used in the industrial exhausts where there are industries, and basically the air needs to be purified again. So you see over here the structure again. So this is the scrubber, and from here the dry air is coming, which needs to be cleaned, and it is going through this, and this is a lime water spray. So lime water spray, what is happening, it is pushing the particulated matters down, and clean air is being released because it becomes lighter, of course. So the exhaust sprays uh, spray of water or lime means not lemon, lime means calcium oxide or calcium hydroxide. So this water dissolves the gases, and lime reacts with the sulfur dioxide, forming calcium sulfate and sulfide. So finally it falls down over here, and clean air is released out from this, and this is very well used in industrial purposes. But there are certain drawbacks, of course. The dangers of particulate matter that are very small cannot be removed by these precipitators. So according to CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, a particulate size 2.5 micrometers or less in diameter, like 2.5 micrometers and down, if inhaled, causes a breathing and respiratory problem. It causes irritation, it causes damage to the lungs and premature death. So basically this emission of these gases have to be prevented. These particulate matter along with the air has to be prevented. So we have to take the measures. And then we have some catalytic converter. So this is fitted in the automobiles, and it is helpful in reducing the emission of poisonous gases like nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide. The previous scrubbers, they are very good for sulfur dioxide. So these catalytic converters which are fitted in the automobiles, they are made up of very expensive metals which act as catalyst. And catalyst is some thing or substance that alters the rate of the reaction without itself undergoing any change in the mass and taking part in the reaction. So we use catalysts like platinum, palladium, rhodium. So what happens is, when these exhaust passes through the catalytic converter, nitric oxide splits into nitrogen and oxygen. Where is this nitric oxide coming from? This is one of the air pollutant, of course. So this nitric oxide will break into nitrogen and oxygen. Carbon monoxide will get oxidized into carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is not a air pollutant. Yes, it is to a certain extent. Carbon monoxide is furthermore harmful. And unburnt hydrocarbons, they get burnt completely, forming CO2 and H2. So basically this CO2, even if it's released in the atmosphere, it will be taken in by the plants. So it's very important to plant trees as well. Next, unleaded petrol should be used. Of course, I told you, leaded petrol makes it very prone to air pollution. So we should use unleaded petrol in motor vehicles. We know that leaded petrol helps you pick up in your mileage, but then of course unleaded petrol, if it is fitted with a catalytic converter, inactivates the catalyst. So this is used. So these are the 4 ways and the 4 appliances by which air pollution can be reduced. Firstly, we have talked already about the scrubber, then electrostatic precipitators, then catalytic converters, and of course lastly we have already talked about the unleaded petrol, use of unleaded petrol. Now we are going to talk about a case study that happened in Delhi. For this, of course, I will narrate the story to you. As I was talking about Delhi, so all of us are on social media, and of course a picture and a video was trending after the Diwalis, how the environment of Delhi changes after every Diwali, after the bursting of crackers. So Delhi is considered as one of the highly polluted city, since it's very densely populated. So it has a large number of vehicles. So in 1990s, Delhi ranked among the 41 most polluted cities in the world. So what did the Supreme Court do? It sent some directives that all buses in Delhi had to be converted into CNG. Compressed natural gas is an alternative source of energy that can be used instead of diesel or petrol. So all the buses, the public transport in Delhi has been converted into the usage of CNG. and that was done by the end of 2002. What were the benefits of CNG? Of course, we know that CNG burns more efficiently and it does not leave any unburnt hydrocarbon. So obviously the chances of suspended matters is much less. And of course, it is cheaper than petrol and diesel. And it cannot be taken by thieves and all. Like petrol and diesel can be, stolen. This cannot be siphoned off easily. So what happens is, what were the other ways that were adopted to reduce this vehicular pollution was they started discarding the old vehicles basically, because old vehicles require a lot of fossil fuel to run. So all the pollution control board, all have cars and you have to take them to pollution control check every 2 years or 3 years. By the end of every year you have to check your automobiles for a pollution control. So basically this is because they wanted to phase off the old vehicles, and of course use of unleaded petrol was a must. Use of low sulfur petrol and diesel, even if petrol or diesel was being used, it was without sulfur free. And also there were very stringent application of these laws that were passed by the Supreme Court, and all vehicles had to have a catalytic converter for it to work. So the auto fuel policy of Government of India, which is very important, this was Euro 2 norms. You must have seen the buses in Kolkata, side mein it's written Euro 2. So Euro 2 norms stipulate that sulfur be controlled at 350 parts per million, 350 ppm tak it is allowed, and in case of petrol 150 ppm. And aromatic hydrocarbons, that is ones with benzene rings, are contained 42% of the concerned alcohol, the concerned fuel, of course, sorry. So basically this is the auto fuel policy of Government of India. All automobiles should meet the Euro 2 emission specifications or else it will be discarded, and this was regulated in 11 cities of India by April 1st, 2005. The rest of the countries will have Euro 3 emission automobiles fuels by 2010. Of course, that was followed. By all these efforts, a substantial fall in the carbon dioxide and the sulfur dioxide level was found between 1997 and 2005. Now, noise pollution is a part of the Air Prevention and Control Act that was passed in 1981 basically, and that was amended along with noise in 1987. So the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, which was passed in 1981, was revised in 1987, wherein that noise was included as an air pollutant. So noise, of course, is measured in decibels, and a sound of over 115 decibel is very harmful to the ear, and prolonged exposure to sound of noise, rather, that's unpleasant sound of more than 80 decibel is leading to permanent damage of hearing. So what are the causes? Firstly, the loudspeakers, the basses, the loudspeaker that you use in your cars, in your homes, home theater, you listen loudly to music, sometimes death metal, sometimes running blues, but obviously music systems and loudspeakers increase the noise pollution level, so you have to be very careful. Jet planes, of course, rockets, that is there, which causes a supersonic vibration, which causes a harm to the ears as well. Industrial factories, they make noise, especially you think about the heavy duty industries, that creates a lot of noise pollution. What are the harmful effects? Of course, now I don't know how many of you have faced this. If you go outside in the village area, you will feel more peaceful than when you're in city. It's always crowded, it's noisy, everything. So better sleep you have in places where there is less noise. So harmful effect, the first thing of noise is it causes sleeplessness, stress builds up, heartbeat increases. So whenever you are nodding your head, head banging to your death metal, of course you will have a increased heartbeat, which is not good. Of course, breathing problems will be a part, and of course there will be a damage in the tympanum your eardrums, and there will be a hearing impairment. So what are the ways? You can tell me better than that. First is, of course, you use sound absorbent materials by muffling your noise in the industrial standards. So you can reduce the noise in the industrial standards by making some soundproof rooms, possibly. Horn free zones, of course, are there outside school, near hospitals. Those are silence areas or horn free zones. Strict laws of sound levels have to be practiced, in our city. Not more than 65 decibels can be played, but who listens to it during Durga Puja? No one. Everybody's playing songs, dancing. Bhashan Jache, everybody's dancing to more than around 80 decibels, right? So that's a problem. So we have to implement the laws very, very strictly, or else we cannot do anything about it. And loudspeakers are to be, played only up to a particular time, not beyond that, not beyond the sleeping hours, of course. So here was what we studied: air pollution and noise pollution today. And of course, you all are aware that what we are going through right now is a direct impact of what human beings have done to nature. Nature is paying us back. So, in order to stop all this, we have to be very, very concerned about ourselves, about how we practice the goodness, how we appreciate nature, and how we stop pollution, of course. Today, dolphins have come back to the shores of Mumbai or to Venice, or to even the Ganga side in Calcutta. So you can well imagine the amount of pollution reduction that has happened due to corona. But if we do not continue this way, one day we might face a tremendous pressure wherein none of us will survive except for Mother Nature.